watch this playback, there's an opportunity to do that afterwards. So just want to give you a heads up about that. While we're waiting, we've got Katie who's going to be moderating this little chat button down here where you can chat. I'd love to hear how you guys heard about this workshop. If it was the newsletter, Instagram, did a friend tell you? I'd love to hear how you heard about us. And that's right. My friend just had a baby. Hi, baby. Hi. Yep, she just had a baby. That's so exciting. All right, Katie, do we have anybody telling, oh, Instagram? Awesome sauce. Anybody else hear about us from somewhere else, Facebook or from a friend? Email, great. What is the 2020? Me, yes, my friend Christina, she saw, I've been blasting it on my Instagram too. So she said, I'm gonna be in there with you, girl. I was like, thank you, thanks. Christina's amazing. She kind of gave me the confidence and boost to do my own storytelling nights here in Hampton Roads. So she's a big part of my journey. So that's so great, awesome. We're at 11:03. While we're waiting, put something interesting in the, something quirky or interesting about you. Quirky or interesting about you. It's Friday, fun Friday. Tell me a fun fact about you. What's a fun fact about me? Sugar. It's so funny when you have to like put yourself on the spot like that. What is a funny thing? The last time I mentioned that like I'm a tongue twister, that not everyone can genetically do that. Okay. Katie, read me some of the fun facts.
Let's see. Jada said she can make her stomach grumble.
It's a good talent. It's a good talent.
Ari, hula hoops for fitness. That's
nice.
pretty awesome. That's such a good workout.
Really? Like, and you have to have a really strong core to do that.
Uh-huh. Oh, Christina is in recovery from alcohol, 88 days. Awesome.
Yes,
Good job, Christina.
So huge. I'm so proud of her. Did someone say a headstand? What is it?
Frida. Frida can do a headstand on her paddleboard. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I'm like trying to envision that in my head. That superpower right there.
Adiba, if I'm saying that right, if I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry. Writes poetry. Awesome. We love that.
That's such a beautiful art form. And I definitely feel like you have to have, that's a gift. In school, in all of my English classes, that was the one form of writing I could not wrap my head around. Oh, Regina says she was premature at birth. Look at you now, girlfriend. Look at you now. Regina is an author. I think you're working on another book. Is that right? Almost done? Awesome sauce. I'm talking to y'all like you can talk back. If you
and
if
Christina or Frida is in recovery too, 8 years. That's awesome.
Man, yes, that's amazing. Just want to let you guys know before we hop into the presentation, Jen wants to just take a picture of us to show everybody how awesome it is that we gathered here this Friday. So put on your happy, smiling faces. Awesome. I don't know why I always do this. This is like my thing. Everyone's like, I don't know. Okay. All right, friends. So just to let you know, you are muted, but you can use that chat button. I'll be getting assistance from Katie every now and then. And so today we're going to hop into where to take your story. I'm about to share my screen here. All right. Not now. And we're going to play this presentation from the start. Who remembers that Dr. Seuss book, Oh, the Places We Will Go? That's where I got the title for today's workshop. Oh, the places my story will go. Today, we're going to talk about where you can take your story as a storyteller, particularly with public speaking. All right, just a little programming rules here. Thought I'd give you a cute little dog to look at. Everyone's muted. Upon entry, Katie is going to be moderating the chat. Hold your questions to the end. I'm going to try really hard to give us some time to answer questions at the end of the presentation. All right, so we've done some fun facts, quirky things about us. I'd love to hear where you would like to take your story. Is it a blog? Do you want to take it on stage? Do you want to write a book? Put in the comment, in the chat section, where you would like to take your story, and Katie's going to give us some of that feedback. Where would you like to take your story?
And Frida just asked if the photos being shared publicly. Jen, I don't know if we've done anything with the photos. Have we? Okay, so we want to take it to a book or a stage. Blog first, then a book. Sorry, my dog's barking.
No worries.
Books and public speaking, stage on in college campus. Cool. So
great. So we've got a lot of people who are very fit for this presentation because you're ready to take your story on stage. We'll focus a lot on stage storytelling, but this can really go to any type of platform. So just a little bit about me. I am a former reporter turned blogger, motivational speaker, certified peer recovery specialist, mental health advocate. I guess I could call myself an events promoter. I like to do events in the Hampton Roads area that brings people together and sparks conversations. I also have a social media reach of over 5,000 people. I only plug that because this is from a different presentation about social media storytelling. But I think what is powerful about social media, as you can see with This Is My Brave, is the ability to connect with so many people around the world. I never ever imagined that I'd be sharing my story, A, about a mental health struggle, and B, with people all over the country. I mean, like, freaking awesome. Look at all of you. You're from all over the place. All right, so we've been doing these Brave Storyteller workshops for the last 3 weeks, and I wanted to give you a brief recap of last week. Last week, we talked a lot about some public speaking tips, right? A lot of people in the beginning, they have that paper and they're like, I'm holding on to this paper for dear life. I cannot forget it. I really challenge you to try to get away from the paper. There's some memorization techniques out there that you can do, putting your story in bullet points or creating a picture for every moment in your story. But that means that your story is going to feel and sound different every time you tell it. But just be flexible with that. It's generally going to have the same focus. Also, like anything, practice, practice, practice. Share it with your friends, share it with your roommates. The more that you hear yourself say that story out loud, the more that you practice it, you're going to be so much more prepared when you actually get on stage. I shared with you guys a really funny time where I totally did not pay attention to who my audience was. I had a great opportunity to do a speaking engagement with teenagers. And here I was like giving a Bible sermon, y'all. I was like on the mound, the girl. And those teenagers were like, oh my God, we're in school right now. I would have totally approached that talk differently if I would have put myself in the shoes of those teenagers. So if you're ever fortunate enough to talk to a big audience, ask the organizer, who's going to be there? What kind of organizations are they a part of? And then really think, what experiences are they bringing to the audience? It will definitely shape how you tell your story. Just some little things as a speaker. Always get a good night's rest before. I know it's such a nerve-wracking thing to think about getting up and standing in front of people, but sleep is a powerful, amazing thing. Eat a good breakfast the next day. Don't try anything crazy the day before your talk or the day of your talk. That's not a day to eat ghost peppers or food you've never eaten before, because trust me, you will feel it. You're gonna feel nervous. So these are some tips that I give to speakers to help better prepare them for their talks. So in today's story, we're gonna talk about discover places you can take your story, some places I know of, how to pitch yourself as a public speaker, and how to build confidence. Oh, sugar, my computer is having a moment.
We're going to give Lauren a second and hope that we get her back here. Uh-oh. We didn't prepare for this, unfortunately. Erin,
we've had so many good runs.
I know. Is she back? Or she might have to log out and come back in.
Yeah.
So let's give Lauren, her computer is reconnecting. So
Okay.
Bear with us. Technology is fabulous when it works, and there is always
remember last week, if you all participated last week and you got the email, you saw that we had some technical difficulties with recording the presentation. So I sent us
beforehand because Erin already knew where to pick up. That's the beauty of technology, y'all. Thank you for bearing with me. Zoom was like, girlfriend, no, you are doing too much for us right now. All right. So thank you for picking up right there, Erin. We're going to do it live. We're going to keep on moving. All right, next slide. So I want to share with you a little bit of storytelling has done for me. Really, my story started on a little blog called Good Girl Chronicles. In my mind, I was going to be the Black Carrie Bradshaw, but that didn't work out. That's okay. My story really took a turn when I started sharing about surviving suicide and what that looks like and how my life changed after that event. But by telling my story, I've been able to launch a public speaking career. It helped me advocate for others. I've been able to teach people how to get services in the Hampton Roads area. When I was homeless for a period of time, people donated over $4,000 in GoFundMe funds, which is not an easy feat. And one of the stories that I shared was on a Facebook page, and a reporter saw it, and then, I don't know if it's gonna let me play this. Oh, that's a bummer. There's a promo here about a story that I did in Richmond. This reporter just happened to be watching my Facebook Live and said, we'd love to feature you for Depression Awareness Month. And I was just coming out of homelessness at that time. And so because I just shared that story, it allowed me to take my mental health advocacy to the next level. Okay, it says it doesn't play back. Yes.
Lauren, we can probably put the link to that video in the thank you email that we send everybody with the slides.
Yeah, thanks. I will totally send that. All right, so so one of the things is like, what are your goals as a speaker or storyteller? Do you want to be speaking on a regular basis? Do you want to see yourself as a professional speaker? I don't know if you're familiar with like Rachel Hollis or Tony Robbins. Do you want to be that type of person? Do you want to write a book? Or do you want to use your story for advocacy? I've been very fortunate to do a lot of press here locally promoting mental health services in the area. I'm also on the Virginia chapter board for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I was a volunteer with them first, and they heard my story and wanted me to be part of the organization. So I've been able to use my story for advocacy also. All right, so the last couple of weeks we've been talking about what a story is, what a recovery story is, how to find your focus. And so now you're ready to start pitching, right? Start putting yourself out there. So here's a couple of questions you should ask yourself before you request or say, yes, you want me as a keynote. Do you have an idea of who you want to pitch to? One of my long-term aspirations is to write for Glamour magazine. I love Glamour magazine. So I'm a consumer of Glamour, so I know the type of stories that they like. If you're gonna pitch to an organization or a magazine, get to know their material, get to know what type of stories that they take. Have you also thought about who your key audience is, right? Good Girl Chronicles attracts a lot of women ages 35 and up. So those women have their own type of experiences. I happen to be in that age group, but I did some time researching what women 35 and up are most concerned about. A lot of them are like, hey, how do we get back in the dating scene? Or how do we start something new in our life or a new career? So that's really shaped the type of content I put out and the type of organizations that I seek out when I'm pitching myself as a speaker. Where is your audience? Now this relates to like, you know, where are they geographically and where are they online? Social media is amazing. Most of my women, most of my audience are online. I laugh because they say that Facebook is for older people, which is funny to me. But anyways, most of my engaged audience is on Facebook. So I spend a lot of time engaging with my audience there. A lot of my audience, they like to go to the makeup parties and things like that. So I look for those type of platforms to pitch myself as a speaker. Then once you've found out where your audience is, who you should be pitching to, do you have something to show the audience, the organization that you're pitching to? Do you have like examples of your poetry? Do you have clips? Do you have videos of you speaking for some writers out there? Do you have like some testimonials from some people who've read your book? Those are things that you want to send in that pitch. So these are just some things to think about before you actually pitch yourself. So these are some ways that I found to get myself out there as a speaker. Colleges are always looking for speakers. So contact the Student Affairs Department. See if they're looking for speakers. Also, be mindful of like the time of year it is. So it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So in January, I was pitching local colleges, hey, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. This is the experience I have as a mental health speaker. I'd love to come to your organization and share a presentation. Before COVID, I actually had a lot of engagements this month. That's okay. Also, reach out to event organizers. I love Eventbrite, and here's why I love Eventbrite, because a lot of promoters, after a while, will create a profile, and you'll start to see the type of events these promoters are pushing out there. So I follow promoters that I want to be speaking at. Sometimes I go to their events. Sometimes I'll email them and say, hey, I saw you put together this amazing event. I had such a great time. Here's my experience as a speaker and storyteller. I'd love to be considered as a keynote for next time. It's not like a hard sell, but it's just saying, hey, I respect what you do. I think I could be a part of that and help expand what your vision is. Reach out to community or local organizations, whether it's like the National Alliance on Mental Illness or AFSP, or anybody who is promoting the message that you align with. Reach out to those folks and offer to help. I find that like when you offer to come to them with some value first, they're much likely to then say, hey, I remembered you said that you were a storyteller. Let me hear that story. That's actually how I've gotten a lot of opportunities. When I'm working with clients with their public speaking, I always tell them to go to open mic nights. That environment is so loving and affirming. We have a lot here in Hampton Roads because storytelling is just like a really popular trending thing right now. But go there and try the story out. Like, trust me, when you go, they're gonna be like, yes, yes. And that confidence is gonna feel so good. It's going to help you the next time that you go to the stage, and it's also going to give you confidence to continue to pitch yourself as a speaker. I love open mic nights. So how am I landing gigs right now? Primarily, a big way I'm landing gigs is the blog, interestingly enough. This shows the power of writing online. A lot of people who read a blog, sometimes you may go, and they're like, hey, I read this blog that you wrote about this thing. I'd love for you to come talk to us. I went into blogging about love, sex, relationships, and everything in between. And people have gotten to see a little bit of my personality there. I realize that not everybody loves putting their stuff out there on YouTube, but it's just one of the ways that I am getting speaking engagements. Also, one of the strongest ways I get gigs is from the last gig. I'm one of those speakers who gets there early, meets the organizer, like really talks to them and say, like, what motivated you to do this? Like, I want to form a relationship with those people. I stay afterwards. I stay for as many people that want to connect after, and I give cards. And I find that a lot of speaking is just building relationships. That when that goes well, I almost always get a call next time to do another speaking engagement. So just take the time to build relationships. All right. We know that we all got to live. So let's talk about the big elephant in the room. If I'm a speaker, when and how do I talk about money? Well, this is the question every speaker should ask themselves when they're thinking about money. I actually learned this from a speakers organization called the Black Speakers Network. It's the question every, sugar, I'm getting ahead of myself. The question every speaker should ask, do you have a budget for speakers? Right? Do you have a budget for speakers? Especially if somebody comes to you and says, we'd love to have you. I always say, oh my gosh, that's amazing. What's your organization about? What's the event about? Do you have a budget for speakers? Because that kind of, the way that you're asking that lets them know that you value your time and you are a professional speaker, right? And so you expect some compensation. Now, sometimes they really don't have a budget for speakers. So then I ask myself, I'm not getting a financial return on my investment, right? I won't get paid for gas or anything like that. But is there an invisible return on my investment? Is it an audience that I feel really needs to hear my story? I am really passionate about talking about mental health in communities of color. And faith-based communities is a community that I want to get in front of because I want to show people that they can worship and believe in therapy and mental health also. So let's say they're like, we don't really have a budget for speakers, but this is in front of a faith-based community, and we're trying to move the needle forward in talking about mental health. that's my invisible return on my investment. I want to gift that audience with this experience because I feel they need to hear my story. Sometimes, because I am running a business, I'll say, all right, are you able to make a donation to my storytelling fund? I do small storytelling nights, and I want to do more for speakers that come to the stage. And sometimes people will say, yeah, I'll totally make a donation to that. That helps me pay a little bit for a venue or gift the speakers in some way. But just always, I challenge you to use this question. Do you have a budget for speakers? More often than not, it'll show that you're a serious speaker, and it will, they'll be like, okay, yeah, they're legit. I'm going to give them the speaker's fee, because sometimes often than not, they have a budget for it. So I'm one of those nerds who likes to perfect my craft through research. There's an amazing speaker by the name of Grant Baldwin. He has something called the Speakers Lab. So great. He has a podcast, and he talks about everything speaking. He talks about money, how to like prepare your voice for speaking, how every speaker should have a book that they're promoting. I'm learning so much, and that resource is absolutely free. He just came out with a book called The Successful Speaker on Kindle. I bought it for $2.99. So my challenge this month is to finish that, and I'm going to come out of COVID with a bunch of speaking engagements. I also love the creative storytelling organization called The Moth. The Moth is really cool because it's like storytelling in some of its finest. From what I understand about The Moth, you cannot use a paper. It's this really artistic form of storytelling. So I listen to Moth a lot. I like to hear the words those storytellers use and how they painted the picture for me. And I feel that that's a way to study your craft. They also have some tips on their website, themoth.org, on creative storytelling. I love watching TED Talks online. TED is kind of like one of the pinnacles for speakers. It's the most creative minds offering amazing stories. I like to watch how they take a complex issue and make it conversational. I like to see how their body posture is, on the stage, how they connect with somebody, if they're laughing or whatever. There's so much training you can do to be a speaker right from your computer screen. So these are some resources that I use. And if you'd like to give these slides afterwards, we'll totally do that. So here are some interesting ways to build your speaking platform. Every time I go out to speak, I almost always find a way to record it. Either I get a friend to record it on an iPhone, or at this point, I hire somebody to come out. I like to watch those back and see my facial expressions, my hands, am I growing as a speaker? That's how I was able to tell you guys last workshop. I was like, girl, you missed the mark with those teenagers, right? I record almost every talk I do. Also, I encourage you to take some free engagements, particularly in the beginning. It gets you comfortable and helps you find your tone and your story. Offer yourself as a panelist, right? There's a lot of organizations that want to have panel conversations. That's a way to learn how to respond to a question really in a concise way. It's also another way to just get comfortable with what your story is and how you share it with an audience. Now, if you're really ready to put yourself out there, go ahead and create a business Facebook page. It's free, right? You could do a public figure page, a storyteller page, a blogger page. It kind of gives you some legitimacy before you start going into the website zone. Share it with your friends and family. Get those to be your first fans and stuff like that. And anytime that you publish a blog or video, put it there and share it. Because also when you start to pitch yourself as a speaker, you can say, hey, look at what some of my fans are saying about this, that, and the third, because you've got an audience there. Also, I still believe in business cards, and I feel that people still believe in business cards, because after a talk, they're always like, hey, do you have a business card with your website, phone number? And I like to put what my 3 titles are, like storyteller, consultant, advocate. I just have those 3. Those are my 3 big titles. But it costs next to nothing. Vistaprint's your best friend. They always have a deal or something like that. Even if it's just 50 cards, it'll go a long way in building your speaker's platform. All right, I want to talk to you about some storytelling organizations. We have This Is My Brave. I was in the This Is My Brave show in 2018 in Arlington. It was a huge confidence builder for me, and just amazing to be part of an organization like that. Before taking to the stage, I actually submitted a blog to them about how I learned to accept my diagnosis at a psychiatric facility, because I saw there were all these people from different walks of life I was like, man, if they're okay, I can be okay with this too. So that's just one of the places you could share your story. There's an organization called Care Talks. They focus on stories of people who overcome addiction. And one of my goals at some point is to host a care talk. One of the stories that I think we need to hear more of are people who are being in recovery from drug addiction, because there's so much stigma behind that. And I don't think people see the strength, the resilience, the work that goes into living a recovered life. As a peer, I work with people in early recovery from drug addiction, and it just opened my eyes to that experience. And I like Care Talks because that's part of what they do, is putting those stories out there to break stigma. Very similar, right on key with what This Is My Brave does also. I'm a huge advocate of NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I like this program, In Our Own Voice, because it teaches the storytellers how to tell their story. A big way I've learned how to tell my mental health story from a place of empowerment was this In Our Own Voice series. They always challenged us to tell our experience, right? The dark days, the strength, what we learned as we were coming out, and the hope that we have to give away. And it's powerful to do that program. We do them in a lot of psychiatric hospitals. But I can't tell you how amazing it feels, because I've been in that same seat that a lot of people have, and they see that you're on the other side. It's like beautiful. And I've had people say that the In Our Own Voice series is probably one of the most rewarding things that they have. There's also an organization that Erin told me about called Celebrate Recovery. My church actually offers this also. It's a 12-step program, but it's got a faith-based component to it. And they do a lot of storytelling platforms and stories too. So, all right, I didn't time it as well because we had that technical difficulty, but it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and This Is My Brave is partnering with BetterHelp. And if you've ever been thinking about doing therapy and you're like, how do I do this in quarantine? This is a great way to do it. BetterHelp offers affordable counseling services from licensed clinicians right online. When you go to BetterHelp here, all you have to do is go to betterhelp.com/thisismybrave, right? Or at checkout, you can just put This Is My Brave, and that'll give you 1 free month of online counseling. That's the only way I'm seeing my counselor these days, and actually, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Then this weekend, Brave TV series will kick off again this Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is that right? Yes. Today, this Saturday, they're going to be talking about music and mental health, which I think is so amazing because there's so much power in how people use music in their recovery. And so tune in this Saturday on the This Is My Brave Facebook page and join that awesome conversation about that. That concludes this survey, this workshop, not survey.
Hey, Lauren, I had one question for you.
Okay.
Christina said that she loves the events promoter idea. And where do you typically find those online?
Oh, about contacting, let me unshare here. Am I back on this full screen? So honestly, Eventbrite, when you go to an event on Eventbrite, at the very bottom, it's usually the promoter's information. I capture the promoter information and I follow them on Eventbrite. And sometimes I email them and things like that. But that's just I think when you're ready to take it to the next level, whenever you see an event, hey, who put this together? Always ask who the promoter is and get connected with them. Shoot an email, hey, I saw this really cool event that you're doing. Is there any way that we can connect? Or what are you doing next? Do we have a few minutes for questions? Okay. Anyone have any questions, pressing questions about speaking that they wanted to ask?
And yeah, Adiba and Frida, we can send you, if you guys want all 4 recordings, just let us know. Just shoot us an email when we send you the recording. Is that how we should do it? Okay.
What age did I start speaking? That's a good question. It's very funny. I've always been a very chatty person, but I actually went to school because I wanted to be a family therapist, interestingly enough. And my sophomore year, I took a public speaking class at community college. And this lady said, listen, I really think you could be a reporter. And I was like, I don't really know. And because she believed in me so much, I changed my major to become a television reporter. And that is what led to this. So I don't think I ever envisioned being a reporter or being a speaker if it weren't for that one professor. Someone else had a question about resources.
Can you see it, Lauren?
Can I see? Oh, let me open this.
Oh, no, I can do it. Are there any good resources to look at for borderline personality disorder storytelling?
Oh, that's a good question. Jen, do you know of any that are specific to that mental health issue?
I don't know if any are that specific. I think more so they're a little more general. So like Lauren mentioned, NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, would be definitely a great place to look. But I don't know of one that's specific to borderline personality disorder.
Yeah, I think when we send you the previous recordings, you'll see how it's all about crafting your story to what you have experienced. So that should be beneficial for you. We'll definitely send you those.
I also want to say that I was working with someone a couple of years ago trying to find a support group for people who live with borderline personality disorder, and it's really challenging. I say that to say that I still feel like we're not having any conversations about that, and there's still so much misunderstood about it. So it's really encouraging that you want to share. I think NAMI is an amazing place to do that. Because In Our Own Voice will kind of coach you on how to tell your story. And there are people who are living with that experience that don't see storytellers out in the public. So NAMI.org or NAMI.org is an amazing place to go and see what the chapter in your area is doing. Because I totally know that we need more storytellers talking about that experience. Anyone else? All right, friends, I want to thank you guys so much for bearing with us in that technical difficulty. Erin picked it right back up and we got right back in it. I also want to say thank you to the folks that have emailed me homework. Jada, I hope you don't mind me shouting you out. It's been a pleasure to watch you shaping your stories and growing them and sharing them with me. That was awesome. If you would like to share your story with me to have a look over, I got nothing but time. You can email me at lhope@thisismybrave.org, lhope@thisismybrave.org. I'd love to give you some personalized feedback or any organizations that I know of, but I really love storytelling. So thank you for sharing that with me, Jada. And thank you all for sharing your time with me. It's a precious gift that we have in life and you don't get it back. So I'm so, so thankful that you guys spent your time with me. Have a good day. Alex, everybody, thank you. Thank you, thank you. And we will send you the recordings and the copies of the slides if you'd like. Hope you have an amazing Friday and a good mental health month.
Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Oh, I have one person. I'm going to just put here my email again.